All right, sit tall, sit well. Let's get to it. Ting, ting. Okay. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and listen to the sound of the ting and follow it as long as you can. Again. Last one. Good. Sit and breathe. Atayogashasana yogaschita vritti nirodha tharadrashtu swarupe vastanam. We bow to the sacred practice of yoga. Yoga is the joining of consciousness in the heart space, creating union. When we do this, we see ourselves with less distortion, and we abide in our true nature, which is joy. Take a few more breaths to just become aware of the subtleties in your body. Notice the feeling of your sitting bones on your cushion. The feeling of your clothes on your skin. Your hair on your head. If you're wearing any earrings or glasses or anything on your face, becoming aware of that. And then becoming aware of your breath. Settle into this space. Allow this next hour or so to be time for you to go inward, to understand these spiritual concepts, not just with your mind, but with your heart. Bring your palms together to heart center. We'll take an Om to start our yoga church today. Inhale. Release your hands down, softly open up your eyes, and welcome to Yoga Church. Erin, I know pretty much all of you. So does anybody know why the ting-tings help to calm your mind? Give a chance, right? So I think you know the answer, but maybe it's, As one of my friends was saying, I'm breaking the fourth wall when I ask these questions. But it focuses the mind. So it's a form of pratyahara. So reining in of the senses calms the mind. Because our senses are usually pulled in so many different directions. We're so stimulated. And then it's hard to focus. It's hard to even know what the hell we're thinking or feeling. And so having like one sound, one feeling, one thing, one object, like a candle flame, sound of the ting-tings. I don't know what the actual name of them, I just call them ting-tings. Hearing that sound and like really, especially as the sound gets quieter, you have to focus because it draws you inward. It's the subtleties. It's the same thing with us. Understanding ourselves is we have to get quiet to feel and notice the subtleties. Yeah? Yeah. I give this example often, bless you, is, the Dolly Museum. I love the Dolly Museum. They always have different exhibits, and you can go through so many times and just always pick up on something new. And, to give the example of my father, I love my father so much, and he's finally, slowing down to, regular human energy. He's one of those lucky people that's been blessed with all the energy in the world, and he's, 63 now, and he was, we were talking on one of our dad talks, and he was saying how it's crazy. I have to take a nap in the middle of the day. I was like, 1, that sounds awesome. 2, that's what normal people do, Dad. So, anyways, we'd be walking through museums, and my parents divorced when we were younger, so my dad would get us on some of the weekends, and we would go and do these fun things. So we'd walk through museums and different collections of art. And my dad was always like a man on a mission, just go right by. And I remember trying to stop and look at the paintings or sculptures or even animals at the zoo. And my dad was very check, 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 check. I remember the first time I was to Florida when I was a teenager, and he took us to all the different Disneys, the Epcot and Magic Kingdom and Disneyland and all the others. And I remember by the 4th day, my sister and I just collapsed. We're no, Dad, no. And my dad went to Epcot by himself. Had a good time. I guess he had some wine. I think it's very easy to get caught up in the busyness and the productivity of life and not sort of slow down and notice the subtleties. So now when I go to something, say the Dolly Museum, I try to slow down and notice the subtleties in the art. We are living scripture. We are art in real time that is unfolding. And that brings me to my main topic today, which is Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya. Repeat after me. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya. Yaya. Yaya. Swadhyaya. Good. That's what a teacher taught me. Yaya. And I was like, yeah. Because I kept saying it wrong. Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya is self-study, introspection, study of spiritual scripture, and or being in nature. And all these things can kind of work together. As a yogi and a coach, I'm constantly practicing self-awareness because I've been blessed with some things in my past that I had to really work through, addictions and eating disorders and things like that. And when you have something like that that's troubling you, the only way to really solve it is to notice what makes you tick. So suffering prompted me to go inward. So it was sort of my ting ting ting, which was why do I feel so terrible? And I would go in. The Yoga Sutra, I mentioned it the last few classes, but it's a really good one. Desha bandhas chittasya dharana. Desha is place. Chittasya is of the mind. Bandha is to bind, and dharana is to focus. So we focus our mind on one thing, on one place, it calms us, typically. So I want to share a story I think you might enjoy. So I am an advocate for natural healing. By the way, little plug, we have our in-house acupuncturist right over there. She's absolutely delightful. I had a session with her. I'll share this little story. I'm not sure if you've heard me say this, Eloise, but I met her and she was so delightful, and she was referred from a friend. And I was like, she's so cool. I was like, I hope that she's good at acupuncture. Like, it's like you can meet someone and like they're awesome, but like you're kind of like... But I thought with all of her experience it was probably going to be the case. And it was so happy. But she does myofascial acupuncture, just as an FYI. She's in the corner there, and you can sign up with her if you like. Anyways, where was I? So I am an advocate for natural healing, and I have learned through my self-study that sometimes I can push that on other people in a not nice way. Why? Because, I guess that I suffered so much, I'm trying to alleviate other people's suffering. But if I look behind that, I wasn't trusting them to make their own decisions, and maybe there was a touch of codependency in there. Right? If I control you, if I make sure that you're settled, then I'll be settled, right? So I've been working on this for a while, but it comes up sometimes. So my partner and I have been talking, and he was saying, like, oh, I haven't eaten, like, my energy isn't as high as I would like it to be. And I'm thinking of all the riddles, like, that's because you do this, that's because you do that, and you don't drink water first thing you wake up, and you drink coffee. And, like, all the reasons are kind of, like, going through my head, as I'm sure you can relate to, right? It's very easy for the mind to get on a roll. So, anyways, we had a conversation about it, and he was like, yeah, you know what, I think that's a good idea. I think that's really simple. I'll drink a glass of water, right? When I wake up for my coffee, it's like, okay. So next morning, I'm like sleeping, and like he walks in the room, and I'm like waking up, and I see his cup, and before my eyes are even open, I'm like, did you drink water? I was like, he's like, no. This is coffee. And like before my eyes were even fucking open, I was judging him. Yeah. And he knew it right away. He knows me. And I was like, I just paused. I got real quiet. Which, like, by the way, my guys, if your lady gets real quiet, all of a sudden, danger, get out of there, get a flower, get a gift, something. So it caused like a little tiff with us, Like in my head, I'm like, it's the simplest thing in the world. Like, why can't you do that? And then all the judgment, like, and you're doing this, and you're not doing that, and that's not organic, you can't eat an organic banana, they're only like 29 cents more. Like, I really got on a roll with it. Then I stopped. Before all the blip came out, that was like, all that happened in like 5 minutes. I like to get shit done. 5 minutes. And he left the room because he felt like judged or rejected, and I get it because I got real tense. And so I was like breathing. The funny thing is, I just coached someone on something similar. And so I kind of applied that to myself, and I said, Erin, how can you give him his autonomy? How can you trust in him to make his own decisions? And maybe that makes sense to him. And above all, you're respecting his decisions. Like even if I think what I have to say and do and like present is better, sometimes that doesn't matter. If you're disrespecting a person's autonomy in a relationship, like that's kind of overrides what you think is better. So I sat with that, I created space around that, and like really quickly I got myself out of that situation. And I was then loving, and Matt was like, are you sure? I was like, yes. Because I did the work in like that short amount of time, which was nice. I promise this story's going somewhere. Later on, I went to the gym, and I used to resist going to the gym because it's not yoga. It's different, and my mind would get very busy, and I would start comparing myself to everyone, and I would start judging myself. And I modify in the gym because my joints are just kind of different than other people, and I would think that they're judging me for modifying or cheating or something like that. So this time when I went, because of that self-study and because of that pause I had, I recognized that I'd fallen into a pattern, and this is where I'm sort of going with this. So there's something that's called the drama triangle, which when we're in conflict, we either go into the victim, the persecutor, or the rescuer, typically. This is a conflict pattern that most people get into. If you've coached with me, raise your hand. Raise your hand, yes. Okay. And you probably know about this concept. So in that moment, rather than becoming the persecutor, I became the challenger. And rather than being the victim, I became the creator. And I started looking at everybody with all their autonomy, that they didn't give about what I was doing, and that they were focused on them. And that sounds like so simple and so, but in that moment, in that environment where I was usually triggered, I had so much peace. I had so much energy, and I recognized the connection to giving my partner space and autonomy. And because I gave him that gift, even though like it didn't come out as first, but I, kind of backed up and did it right, how those things are connected. And so there's always a reason if we're trying to like control or if we're judging other people around us, it is because it exists within us. If we have a big emotional response to something outside of us, it is because it is triggering something within. So creator. Stepping into the role of the creator in our lives. This takes two things, viveka and vitarka, discernment and reasoning capabilities. I like to say as a yogi that, part of it is being present. Like that is the practice of yoga, is union, but what do you do once you're there? When you're present, when you're studying yourself? Try to discern your patterns. Try to be a better person. Try to step into the role of what you are creating in your life. So, on that note, we're going to do just a little bit of pranayama. I actually have this meditation recorded on Insight Timer, so I'm going to play it over the speakers just so you get a taste of it. And then we're going to breathe, come present, and we're going to do a little bit of chanting. All right? Okay. All right, close your eyes. Inhale and exhale through your nose. I'll pull up our meditation for today. And just kind of let the things that I've said just kind of melt in. So I talked about, ways that we can either be a victim or a persecutor to ourselves or towards others. And the antidote for that is to step into the role of the creator. Rather than be helpless, how can I create in my life? Rather than try to persecute or control others, how can I challenge that in my own brain and look at the evidence and find myself back in a space of peace? Okay, so when you hear so, I want you to inhale. When you hear hum, I want you to exhale. And then when there's a hold at the top for the breath, hold your breath, and then slowly exhale. Here we go. So, inhale and hold at the top. Imagine energy lifting up this heart. And exhale slowly. Yes. staying in that meditative space. When the mind is quiet, the universe speaks. So in a few moments, you're going to hear the harmonium. We'll start to do a little bit of chanting. We'll do a call and response. And so the words are Om Namah Shivaya, which is calling upon our absolute potential to come forward. And then different versions of that absolute potential. Shambho is from the word Shwambhu, which means to create oneself. And then Shankara is the auspicious version of absolute potential, like the gentle, reflective space. So we're going to ask, and you can start to open up your eyes. Come back here. So calling upon those aspects of you, absolute potential, to create oneself, right? Because you have a choice in creating what you want in your life. And then with the gentleness, with a connectedness.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho.
Shambho, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho.
It's alright, we can mess up all over the place. Great. You did it first. I usually do it first. Okay, here we go. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya,
Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya,
Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya,
Shiva Shankara, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Good, alright. Keep breathing. So now I'm just gonna chant a little mantra. Try to sing along if you like. Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho. 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 Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Feel the bhakti going through you. So I like to say, you're not like, oh, surprise, you're Hindu now. Haha, got you. Toot toot. No, it's a concept, right? It's this concept of absolute potential, which we want to tap into and then put it into creation in our lives. And sometimes quieting the mind and just reminding ourselves that we are the creator. So Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is a very powerful tool of the yogi. And again, it's, what are the three things of Swadhyaya? Do y'all remember? Okay, name one. Viveka? Yeah, discernment. So when we're in Swadhyaya, we're discerning. Anybody else? Self-study, yes. With sacred scripture or being in nature. And we are sacred scripture. So, and if you can look at yourself in that way, you offer yourself more grace, less judgment, because your story is unfolding and you are the creator. So it's like the author of the Mahabharata is Vyasa. It's like the coin title. But it's probably like a lot of Vyasas, like they all got together. And Vyasa's homie is Ganesha. Because Ganesha was right there when the Mahabharata is being written, and he needed a pen. So it doesn't really show in this image of Ganesha, but typically he has one tusk that's broken. And one of the stories of why the tusk was broken is that he was like, Vyasa, I got you. And then he scribed the entire Mahabharata. So we are the authors of our own story. You get to choose what you focus on. There's a reason why we choose what we choose in our life. When I coach people, for example, if they're saying, I don't know why I keep doing this over and over and over again, I was like, you get something out of it. Really, it might not be like the end result that you want, but in that moment, like when you're eating a bag of Cheetos or drinking a drink or whatever, it's like, this is crunchy, it's yummy, right? Let's not say that there's no benefit of the cheese all over your face. Like, no, that was awful, I hated all of it. No, there's something you liked. There's something you liked about it. And if we can get curious about it with compassion and just say, okay, well, what do I get out of this? It allows us to self-study. Whereas when we shame ourselves, the thing is, like, perfection is actually an ego thing. Like, nobody's perfect. When, like, you think about it that way, you're like, oh, that puts it into perspective. Like, who am I that I'm so high and mighty I'm not afforded a mistake as a human? Right? So, being able to study ourselves and ask ourselves, what do I get out of this? What do I get out of shaming myself? Well, what I used to think I got out of it is like, oh, I'll have a behavior change. Years later, I'm like, how's that working out for you? It feels like we're punishing ourselves. And maybe that's something that was done when we were children, so on and so forth, so we're like modeling after that. I think it takes a lot of courage to get quiet and to see what's, under the hood when you pop it. And just try to understand your self-compassion. I used to think that to be a badass is just being firm and tough all the time. That's sort of like my my moniker when I was a Great Kentucky Bomber on the roller derby team. For those of you who don't know, I did roller derby for a long time. I'm a martial artist. So I thought that the definition of a badass was just like to power through and like don't have any feelings. And, actually when I came to yoga, it was quite humbling, which is going to bring me to my next thing we're going to do. But I couldn't do all the things. I couldn't win the yoga. And so I was like very, humbled by that, which needed to happen. And so there's my ego of like, I didn't think I was like better than anyone, but I was like so attached to this version of myself that I couldn't soften. And when I allowed myself to like kind of soften and fall apart on the yoga mat, that's when I really became strong. So, speaking of falling apart and strong and like humbling our ego, let's go ahead and stand. Isn't that a great interlude? So let's apply the lessons. So the lessons today are you're the creator and self-study. So we're going to put that into practice with a bit of asana. So we're going to do a little bit of balance because there's nothing that brings out uncomfortable feelings like balancing on one foot. So I want you just to notice as you breathe and kind of like notice the subtleties of how you have to shift your weight. So there's the physical aspect. Maybe there's an energetic aspect like, oh, I feel this got hot or cold, or I feel tingles. And maybe there is some thoughts and some feelings that come up when you try to do a balance pose, or you're winning at it, or you're losing at it. So stand with your feet in distance apart, spread through your toes, and press into the four corners of your feet as best you can. Hug into center line. Take some deep breaths. Try to stay connected. Shift your weight over to your right foot and get light on your left toe. So keep holding in the core. We'll start simple. So lift up the left foot. If you can find a spot to look at that's not moving on the ground, try to do that. Now breathe and just notice if your mind is jumping around, especially if this is difficult for you, and what comes up. Just stay and study it. Okay, point your toe, bring it out. This might bring up some feelings because it's difficult. Breathe, point the toe, hang out. Just study yourself. Notice, what is my inner dialogue, or how's my muscles feeling? Okay, bring that leg back. Lift the leg behind you and open up your arms. Just like that ting-ting, if you can bind your eyes and your mind to one spot without focusing on your thoughts, you can probably find a bit of peace and serenity. All right, last one. Bend the right knee, cross the left ankle over the right knee, draw the hips back, and reach the arms. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release the leg. Shake it out. Notice, right? Introspection. Notice how you feel. Notice if your heart rate went up. Just notice these things. Okay. Spread to your toes. Press into the four corners of the feet. Hug into center line. Keep breathing and shift your weight over to the left. Lift up your right foot. Focus your mind on one spot. Point the toe, extend the leg, my Ashtangis. Just notice, like my left inner thigh is quivering, and I'm like, interesting. I might not be using that as much as I need to. Interesting. Flex through the foot, bring the leg back. Tuck your pelvis a little bit and see if you notice your glutes activate. Maybe you notice some tightness in your calves. Maybe mentally you notice some things coming up. Good. And then bring that leg back around. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Settle the hips back. And extend the arms. And breathe. You are the divine expressed in this beautiful body. Good. Inhale, come up. And exhale, release down, shake it out. Shake it out a little bit more. In our YTT, one of the YTTs, Paula, so I love her, she's coming to India with us, but she was like, you know, I heard this thing about balance, if you like shake your body really good, and then you balance, does not work. I was waiting and we were like, she's like, yeah, don't do it. All right, go ahead and have a seat. Does anybody notice anything that they'd like to share? I told you about my inner thigh quivering. I played derby for a long time, and we do these crossovers, and we go in one circle a lot, and I would like to say that we even out those circles, but we didn't. So my left inner thigh is weaker than it used to be. Just interesting. So I'm like, okay. Anybody have a thing to share? Andrew. Yes.
First one is compare yourself to others, and then I transition to judging one side or the other. And then finally, I'm having just thought on the floor. So.
Rated it, right? Yeah. So, and I like that you shared that vulnerability because, Just like my example with the water with my partner, I can't drink the water, and then it went. Like, I think that's the nature of the mind, right? It's to like go into the judgment, the patterns, and then it's like you drew back into your body, and then you grounded by directing your eyes. Thank you. Yes, Marie.
So, my intention over the last few days has been, I set up my whole yoga space, and I am being gentle with myself about postures as opposed to just getting from the movements inspired from the form. And so I came today to restore it, and I set my intention, okay, and everything hurt. There was no restoration in it. And then I stood up today, and I was bouncing like a fiend yesterday on the mat. And here I came to squat, and I thought, my body's talking to me. We're having this discussion. I don't know who's going to win, but we've got this discussion going on. So I set my intention, my body is saying, no, yeah. So I thought that was nice. Give myself grace.
Yes, grace is necessary. So the next niyama after swadhyaya is Ishvara pranidhana, which is surrender to a higher power, or maybe just like letting go of what you think you are in that moment, so that you can just invite in some grace. Like, take it easy, killer. Thank you for sharing that. One more thing I wanted to share, just kind of dovetailing off of that, is even in asana practice, like, people want to, I think it's important that we know that we're making some kind of progress in our lives. Like, I think that having that purpose and that sense of progress, there's like conflict as far as like goals in yoga. I think that as long as you don't overly attach to them, like, if I don't get this, I'm garbage. Like, whoa, little extreme. But like, okay, let me set a goal so I can kind of measure and focus my mind, like the ting-tings, an internal ting-ting. But then, like, not beat myself up if it's not exactly what I thought it would be. But certainly I've grown because I focused my mind and worked towards something. Yeah, so that's the big vairagya, it's non-attachment, it's kind of that in practice. Anybody else want to share anything? Yes.
What I noticed is that just by doing a few minute practice, focusing on balancing and focusing on my legs, that it brings energy and sensation into my own body, which is really good for me personally, just because I tend to live more so my energy body and the ethers, so it's really good for my grounding purposes. I actually, about a month ago, I feel my legs on my manifestation board. And I focus to like really use just flex my feet when I'm walking, and just really be in my body. I have a lot of body work, massages, specifically focus on my hips and legs lately. So it was just really nice to see that just by balancing for a few minutes, my attention went to my legs.
Because you've been practicing that, right? So it's like the pathway's already there. It's like, oh, I know this. Feel my legs. Yeah. Yeah, you're the creator, right? So again, when we focus our mind and then we set an intention, then it helps us to get somewhere. Yeah, that's good. Linda, did you have one to share? Yeah.
I felt my ego in that whole arena when we were doing the postures and feeling like, I wouldn't do it well, I wouldn't do it right. And also struggling with the concept of effort versus reality. In other words, you want to try something, like when you cross the knee and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, every bad day I'm going to do that, but then I should try it. Kind of like that. And I feel like that I sort of walk that my life in a way because, especially when good challenges come up and either you're up to it or you're not, but you have to try it. And if you're not up to it, then you have to really be willing to back down. Especially when you get older. Because if you don't, you're going to end up probably hurting yourself. Not that I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable fear. Oh no, you're just saying that you think about things.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I have a friend of wisdom showing us how she can do it. Whatever back handspring she can do. She's funny, So, you know, this fine line, I think, that I walk between ego and heart.
Yes. And I think that, thank you for saying that, because I think, you know, certainly in the yoga community, there's this whole, like, kill the ego thing, and, like, you know, like it's a bad thing, but it's a part of you. And even in the classical dualist form of yoga, sort of like transcending the body, transcending the ego. And I had dualist roots. I very much love classical yoga, but non-dualist has a point. we're here, we're in our body, and you know, you're the divine expressed, at least, you know, from what I perceive. Like, why are we here anyway? So just to transcend it, right? You know, I think that having a coming together of the ego and of the spirit, and doing some practices. Like, I think that nobody's above the practices. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't just roll out of bed just like every day, just like, it's a great day, put my hands in the air and everything goes my way. I wake up, like I have a routine where I do my meditation, I drink my glass of water.
And salt.
Yeah, a little bit of salt, a little bit of lemon. You know, and then I do these practices to sort of like bring myself together. And then in the evening, I've started an evening routine as well. You know, I think finding your why too is important. Like, why do we do this? Well, I know in my life that when I don't do stuff like this, like I know what it feels like on the other side before I got into yoga, and no need to return back there. I don't need to bookmark that and keep repeating that. But it does bring up a point that, like, when you're uncomfortable enough, that will prompt you to change. And hopefully that change will come in the form of self-growth and reflection, being kind to ourselves. The balance of sthirham and sukham, firmness and softness. Yeah. So the Shiva and the Shakti. As far as potential and creation, everything around us, like the Tantrikas would say, this is Shakti. Like we are like the flesh, the bones, the creation, the Shakti. But then the Shiva, the absolute potential, is kind of housed within. But they work together to form this light. So having balance in the two. So, any other questions, comments? Okay. Close your eyes. Breathe deep. And take a moment, just a few times, just squeeze and release either your pelvic floor or the anal sphincter. So this draws us down, roots us down. Like Elise said, I feel my legs, I'm in my body. So feel your root. Feel your root. And then also draw awareness now to the crown of your head. Supposedly there's like an extra chakra. It's called the Bindu chakra. And this is where the pineal gland exists. Some might say it's third eye as well. But bringing together the root and the crown, you know where they kind of come together, is that fourth chakra, which is the anahata. That is the heart, that is the space of unconditional love. That is where we can bring the ego and the divine together to accept and love ourselves so that we can be leaders in our community, so that we can be strong but also soft and tender with the people around us, with ourselves, so that we don't have to shame ourselves to make a change, but rather we can do so from a space of compassion and inspiration and love. And then we can get behind people that are on the path and be proud of them and be happy for them. Maitri karuna murito pakshanam sukha dukkha punya punya vishayam bhavanattaschitta prasadanam. Have compassion and friendliness for ourselves and others on the path. If someone's in a mood or if we're in a mood, just try to bring it to a neutral. Get curious about it. Go into the space of creation. Remember that you have the power within of absolute potential. And you get to choose what you create in this life. May all the faculties you have within activate. May you find your own guiding light and force within. Remember your own power. And then ask yourself this question: how can I create what I desire in my life? Maybe it's in small instances, like controlling a reaction response and getting curious about it. Maybe it's getting clear on a vision. Maybe it's taking time to process, to focus on your own inner universe. To make peace with it, to love it, to cherish it, to remember that you are precious. You have something to offer the world. Like your own little precious secret that your heart gets to whisper out, maybe sing. Through expression, an absolute potential comes together with creation. create what you desire in this life. And try to live life skillfully as you do so. Reach your arms up overhead. Bring your palms together down to heart center. The divine light in me sees and honors the divine light in each one of you. Thank you so much. Namaste. Do a couple of hand claps. I remember I've been teaching beach yoga for like a couple of weeks. And this is, by the way, I've been teaching beach yoga for like over 15 years. It's crazy. Like a long time. And I remember after one class, there was one lady that started clapping. And then everybody clapped. And I was like, and then I started like hoping for it. Something I've learned how to do in my life recently is to acknowledge my needs and to ask for things like appreciation and celebration. And I really try to walk my walk with that. And at first it might feel awkward, but like it's really worth it. And like, you know, people sometimes can't guess that. So that is a form of creation, creating what you like in your life. So, a couple of things. One, I am off to India on Tuesday, so please wish me well. And I'm going with a couple of my trainees, Laura and a couple others, so it's very exciting. I do have an online coaching group that I do. It's like a monthly fee, so if you're interested in that, it's $99 a month. We have a group on Facebook where we have a lot of interactions, and then once a week I do some coaching where I kind of navigate subconscious belief systems. So whether you are a coach and you want to just kind of be like back in coach school, or if you're interested in just like learning about like how you tick and getting lots of tools, Elisa's in the group. She can probably attest to how wonderful it is. We have this wonderful online community. There's people from Belgium and Dubai and like other countries that are like, so we get all this like nice perspective. So if you're interested in that, that's just $99 a month. Next month it goes up to $149 though. So if you're like, ooh, just let me know. And then I have Coach School happening in October, where I bring together the ideas and concepts of yoga, like kind of how I'm doing here, but putting it in like a coaching realm so that you can use this with other people or with yourself as far as self-study and observation, figuring yourself out and doing what you like in your life. So thank you so much again for coming to Yoga Church. Namaste. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. If you would like to make a donation, we do have a jar out there. Our Venmo is Thrive Yoga Fit, all one word, or cash. All of the proceeds go to fund our Children's Shelter Yoga program. So thank you very much. I'll be back in time for next Yoga Church too. I'll be gone in almost a month. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Thank you so much. Namaste.